Ancient civilizations built wonders that still stand today, but beneath the marvels of history lurk terrifying secrets. Human sacrifices offered to bloodthirsty gods, ancient plagues that wiped out entire cities, and mysterious disappearances that remain unsolved to this day. What if I told you that some of the darkest stories in history are real? Stay with me as we count down the top 10 scary facts about ancient civilizations, with the final fact being the most terrifying of them all. Starting off at number 10, did ancient Rome have an army of ghosts? Sounds crazy, right? But Roman soldiers believed they did. One of the scariest legends from ancient Rome is about the lost legion that never died. After a devastating battle, an entire Roman legion was said to have vanished without a trace. But instead of being forgotten, eerie reports started surfacing. Phantom warriors seen marching in formation, the distant sound of clanking armor, and ghostly voices whispering in the wind. Even Roman historians wrote about shadowy legions appearing before great battles. Were they omens, or was Rome's lost army still fighting beyond the grave? Some believe these were hallucinations from exhausted soldiers, while others think they were spirits of Rome's fallen warriors, cursed to fight forever. Real or not, one thing is certain. If you were a Roman soldier walking alone at night, you'd probably pray you didn't hear phantom footsteps following behind you. Coming up next at number 9, did you know the ancient Maya believed certain pools were gateways to the underworld? And they weren't just any pools, they were filled with human sacrifices. These natural sinkholes, called cenotes, weren't just water sources. The Maya saw them as sacred portals to the gods. And to keep those gods happy, they threw in gold, jade, and people. When explorers dived into these pools, they found hundreds of skeletons, men, women, even children. Some had wounds, others showed no struggle, suggesting they were thrown in alive. Maya priests believed sacrifices would bring rain, good harvests, and divine favor. The most famous of these pools, the sacred cenote of Chichen Itza, where victims were dressed in fine clothes before being offered to the depths. Even today, some say spirits still linger in these waters. So, would you dare to swim in a Mayan cenote? History is full of dark secrets. What other terrifying facts do you want to hear? Next up at number 8, ever heard of the Egyptian curse? Legend has it, disturb a pharaoh's tomb and you will suffer the consequences. In 1922, when Howard Carter opened King Tut's tomb, strange deaths followed. Lord Carnarvon, the man who funded the expedition, dead just months later. A mosquito bite turned deadly. Even Carter's pet canary was mysteriously eaten by a cobra, the symbol of the pharaohs. Coincidence or an ancient curse? Many others connected to tomb excavations met bizarre fates, mystery illnesses, accidents, and even insanity. Some say it was just bacteria trapped for centuries. Others, they believe the pharaohs were protecting their secrets from beyond the grave. But here's the wild part. Some tombs actually had warnings carved into the walls. Writings like, "Death shall come on swift wings to those who disturb the peace of the king." So what do you think? Ancient germs or a real-life curse? Up next at number 7, ever heard of bodies that never decompose? Deep in the bogs of northern Europe, perfectly preserved human remains have been found, some over 2,000 years old. These bog bodies are so well preserved that you can still see their hair, nails, even the expressions on their faces. But here's where it gets creepy. Many of them show signs of violent deaths, strangulation, stabbing, even ritual sacrifice. Archaeologists believe some were offered to the gods in gruesome ceremonies. Others may be executed for crimes. But the real mystery? We don't know why they were buried in the bogs instead of normal graves. What's even crazier? The bog's acidic, oxygen-poor water naturally mummifies the bodies. No need for embalming. It's like nature hit the pause button on their decay for thousands of years. And here's the scariest part. New bodies are still being found today. Who were they? Why were they killed? Their secrets remain frozen in the bogs. Next up at number 6, in the heart of England, archaeologists uncovered a terrifying secret. A mass grave filled with over 50 headless Viking warriors. But why were these fearsome warriors brutally decapitated? Some say they were executed by the Anglo-Saxons after a failed raid. Others believe it was something more sinister. These weren't just any Vikings. They were young, strong warriors, stripped naked before being slain. Were they victims of a gruesome ritual, a warning to other invaders, or something even darker? Whatever the truth is, their headless remains still whisper a chilling tale from England's past. Halfway there. At number 5, did you know that one of the scariest secrets of the ancient Anasazi civilization is cannibalism? The Anasazi, also known as the ancestral Puebloans, built incredible cliffside cities in the American Southwest. But archaeologists have uncovered something horrifying, evidence that some of these people ate each other. Human bones found in ancient sites show butcher marks, broken skulls, and even signs of being cooked. Some were roasted, others boiled in pots, and their bones smashed to extract marrow, just like animal remains. So why did the Anasazi turn to cannibalism? Was it desperation during droughts, ritual sacrifice, or something even darker? Terror tactics used to scare rival tribes? Some ancient rock carvings even seemed to depict cannibalism, suggesting it was more than just a one-time thing. The Anasazi mysteriously vanished around 1300 CE, but their terrifying legacy? That still haunts the desert today. Would you survive in a world like that? Coming up next at number 4, did you know about the terrifying mass suicide at Masada? In 73 CE, nearly 1,000 Jewish rebels, men, women, and children, were trapped by the mighty Roman army on the fortress of Masada, an isolated plateau in the Judean desert. For months, they held out as the Romans built a massive siege ramp to breach the walls. But when the Romans finally broke through, silence. Instead of surrendering, the rebels chose death over slavery. Their leader, Eleazar ben Yair, convinced them to take their own lives rather than be captured. The men killed their families, then each other, until only one remained, who took his own life. When the Romans entered, they found nothing but eerie stillness. 1,000 people gone. To this day, Masada stands as a haunting reminder of defiance, tragedy, and the extremes of human desperation. Was it bravery? Was it madness? Next up at number 3, did you know that one of the scariest events in ancient history wiped out nearly a third of Athens, and no one knows exactly what caused it? In 430 BCE, during the Peloponnesian War, a mysterious plague struck Athens. People dropped dead in the streets, their skin covered in sores, burning with fever, and suffering from violent diarrhea. Yeah, it was that bad. Even the great leader Pericles couldn't escape it. He, along with tens of thousands, perished, leaving Athens weak and vulnerable. Historians like Thucydides described the symptoms, but to this day, no one knows if it was typhoid, Ebola, or something even worse, maybe something lost to time. Some thought the gods were angry. Others believed it was a curse. But one thing's for sure, this plague changed history forever. If you think modern pandemics are scary, imagine facing one with no medicine, no clue what's happening, and nowhere to run. Coming up next at number 2, ever heard of the screaming mummies of Peru? These ancient corpses look like they died mid-scream. But don't worry, it's not a horror movie, it's history. These eerie mummies belong to the Chachapoya civilization, also known as the Cloud Warriors. When Spanish conquistadors arrived, they found these bodies buried in high mountain tombs, their faces frozen in eternal agony. But were they really screaming? Not exactly. When a body decomposes, the jaw naturally falls open, creating that terrifying look. However, some archaeologists believe the Chachapoya positioned them that way on purpose, perhaps for rituals or to scare off grave robbers. The mystery deepens. Some of these mummies show signs of violent deaths. Were they sacrifices? War victims? No one knows for sure. What we do know? The screaming mummies of Peru are one of history's creepiest discoveries. Would you dare visit their tombs? And at last but not least, imagine a civilization so advanced that it had planned cities, underground drainage, and even what looked like modern plumbing over 4,000 years ago. That was the Indus Valley civilization, one of the greatest ancient societies. But here's the scary part. One day, it just vanished. No war, no mass graves, no written records explaining what happened. Just empty cities, abandoned as if everyone disappeared overnight. Some say climate change caused the rivers to dry up. Others believe a mega earthquake destroyed their water supply. And then there's the eerie theory. A mysterious disease wiped them out. But the strangest part, no one knows for sure. Unlike Egypt or Mesopotamia, the Indus people left behind no kings, no weapons, no tombs, just ghost towns frozen in time. So what really happened? Did they migrate? Were they wiped out? Or was it something even more terrifying? The mystery remains unsolved to this day, and maybe we'll never know.